You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Todd goes in, Todd goes out. Never miscommunication. It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there.
Don't face me, bro.
It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and of course on Spotify and our website. I am Kian, and with me, even though his face has disappeared, is Kev. Kev, how are you doing this week?
Kev decided to take a big yawn when I was interrupting. So when
you
I
had
was
like 20 minutes to do that.
Yeah, the body,
Get professional.
I'll be professional when I start getting paid.
Well,
yes, I'm Kevin. I'm also here.
Woohoo! So it's been an absolute blast of a week now. It's been a while since you've been back. I understand that you have been traveling and seeing the world and everything. What kind of wonderful shows, before we get into the Doctor Who headlines and all the other exciting and terrifying stuff, I believe you saw some shows on the road while you were away.
Yeah, end of May, start of April, start of May, really just caught up on me with an absolute truckload of shows I had back booked. In the span of 7 days, I went to see 6 live shows. And to not go over repeating myself, all of them were great. just baseline, all of them stellar. Starting off with, I've mentioned it on this show. Dimension 20. It's a D&D live. It's a D&D actual play show on the streaming on College Humor's previously College Humor streaming service Dropout. The company is just called Dropout now.
Right.
But yeah, wildly popular, wildly successful. Did their first live tour, which was the UK and Ireland, which I think is crazy considering they're American. But yeah, I managed to catch their second show, which, by the way, as well, just so it was Taylor Swift and Tard getting tickets for that thing.
Really? It's that popular over here?
Yeah. It sold out one night. It sold out 2 nights in Olympia immediately.
This goes to show, what you think's popular, isn't necessarily what you think it is.
Absolutely. So it was a live D&D show, which was a fun twist because the normal kind of running thing of Dimension 20, it's like an anthology series,
right? Where
every season it's a new campaign, new setting, new characters. For this, they multiversed it. So the tour was called the Time Quangle, in which the universe had been bequangled. And at the start of every live show, all the players and the DM Brennan had a little bingo ball cage, and they would pick out one of the characters they had previous played in a prior season, and then Brennan would randomly pick one of the settings.
Oh, okay. So you got
one shot
got proper live experience then,
Yeah, it was completely individual, and just it was a blast. It would be sheer nonsense to anyone who doesn't know everything about these shows. But as a longtime fan, it was an absolute stellar show. Ending with all of the cast getting out from in front of their chairs to sit on the ground story time while Brennan Lee Mulligan, the DM, described one of the characters holding the bad guy's butt shut so he couldn't poop.
That's some good on 5 stuff there, Kev.
Yeah, it was a good old time. So that was one show of 6.
Okay. And
do
you want to run down the other 5 then, just for historical
I'll be
purposes?
quick, absolutely. Because show number 2 then. So the same troupe, from the same group, the DM Brennan Lee Mulligan and his wife Izzy Rowland. Then on Friday in the Academy had a live improv show.
Okay.
Which again, the show was called Bigger. Again, sold out. One weird thing, there was seats in the Academy, which is something I'd never seen before. I fully went in assuming it was going to be a standing gig, but no, they had just rows of folded chairs, which I was extremely grateful for. I did not want to be standing for a comedy show. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was just improv comedy. Brennan, Izzy, a couple of guys from the D&D show, and a local Irish comedian whose name I am absolutely blanking on, all put on a great improv show, with just very much the crowd threw out words and suggestions, and the top and the crowd and the group would just kind of run improv scenes on that. Which again, highlight of that was the Irish comedian doing a pitch perfect like Kerry Garda, which in itself was funny, but the funniest part was that none of the American comedians could actually understand a word he was saying.
Okay, see, that makes me wish I'd seen it now.
Well, actually, funny you should say that.
Oh.
While not that show, Dropout just announced that they're going to be streaming a selection of live shows filmed in California over the past couple of months. Will be going on to its service over the summer, one of which is Bigger with Brennan and Izzy.
Okay,
So
all right.
if any of this sounds of interest to you, those 2 shows will be on Dropping. I cannot recommend that streaming service enough. It's probably the one I use more than any. So, quick fire the rest of these through. Then me and my lovely fiance then went to London for a handful of days because Spirited Away, they announced that a live production of Spirited Away was going to the West End. This is a Japanese production that's mostly puppets.
I've seen photos. It looks amazing. Like,
it's so incredibly beautiful. Like the puppets were all wonderful. What was interesting, it's a Japanese production, so the show is actually entirely in Japanese. Like it's the crew that do the production in Japan coming to London for a residency.
okay.
So it was interesting. It's something that happens with operas and other foreign productions, but it was a stage show with subtitles.
Oh, I see. So it was fully in like Japanese, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the same as the movie? Like.
Yeah, it was fundamentally the same plot,
Okay.
but just live with a lot of practical effects with the puppets and this kind of rotating stage. So it was it was just a feast for the eyes, and hearing that soundtrack done with a live orchestra.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Compelling. Also worth noting that fully without realizing it, I had booked opening night.
Oh.
So there was that they got bowled over with a standing ovation. So if you are at all lucky enough, I think it's running till August. If you're in London, if you find yourself in London over the summer and are able to get a ticket, well worth it. What you should still be able to get a ticket for, though, is the first show we went to in London, which is the ABBA Voyage show. Now, Cian, what do you know about the ABBA Voyage show?
Nothing.
Okay, so if you remember a couple of years ago, ABBA came out with a new album after 40 years.
Right, I remember the posters and all that, yeah.
Yeah, in line with that, they built a theatre on the outskirts of London for an ABBA VR show.
Right.
Where holograms of the band ABBA would perform a greatest hits set.
Okay, so it's a virtual performance, Black Mirror style, like.
Yeah, so here's the thing. This dawned on me after I got home from it. Think of a Hatsune Miku concert.
Right.
replace Miku with ABBA.
Okay, it's the future.
And put it in a purpose-built theater for this show.
It's a bit Blade Runner for me, but yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, it's Blade Runner, but instead of synthwave, it's playing Waterloo, which I think is an improvement.
Well, see, it is an improvement, but it also sounds more dystopian.
And if I'm going to be honest, out of all the shows I saw, this is my favorite.
I can believe that.
Completely knocked me on my feet. Just like there's something about like, because again, it's a purpose-built theater, so the whole theater itself, like the roof, the walls, the sides, are all parts of a greater light show and visual show that contribute to this.
Right.
Throw into that a live band playing the ABBA songs with ABBA's vocals pre-recorded.
So wait, are you sitting down for this, or like how does the VR component work?
VR, I think VR isn't actually the right term. I think more hologram. That'd be the way. Okay. That'd be the word. Yeah. Sorry, VR indicates like a headset. I used the wrong term.
Right.
Like a holographic ABBA show.
Right.
And they play around the forum.
Like Black Mirror, basically.
Yeah. Again, like Miku. And like they play around the forum because it's not always ABBA as they look like they're standing on stage. They have these like 50-foot tall screens, and sometimes ABBA would be 50 feet tall on the screen dancing.
Again, like Black Mirror, it's
also
closer and closer.
And also intercut between it, they had like a half an hour short film that was cut and played during certain songs. That was a woman exploring ancient dungeons and eventually finding monoliths to ABBA and ascending with them as if celestial gods.
Oh my god, you're talking me into this.
I should be. This show rules. Like that, as I said, if you get a chance, Spirited Away, great, very limited, very rare. This is a theater they built. It's been running for 2 years and it's still selling out. If you're in London, go see this show.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I am slightly conscious of time. Could you quickly rattle through the other shows?
Okay, the last two then. So in one day, I then went to a matinee of Wicked and a late showing of Phantom. Wicked, great. Probably the weakest of all, mostly because the second act kind of just flounders. You can watch anybody kind of make a critique on Wicked and they'll probably say the same thing.
Right.
Defying Gravity was incredible. Moving on. Phantom. True, that's kind of the bet. That's the reason you go.
It's like such a harsh review of all of Wicked.
Well, listen, Cian, if I had more than 20 minutes, I could give it to you. we're cut for time here. I know.
No. It's just I've heard that sentiment said about Wicked, perhaps unfairly. So it caught me off guard.
That's you hit Defying Gravity, and then it's like, oh, the second act. Oh, and now it's done. Okay. Listen. We could get when we all definitely go to the Ariana Grande movie. We can talk about the critical analysis of Wicked.
I don't think we'll have a choice, really.
But until then, to quickly burst through Phantom, there is a good reason Phantom has been running for as long as it has. I don't know the exact run on it, but like its West End run has to be 30 years now or something, right?
It was the mid-80s, yeah. So longer than that.
Christ, nearly 40. Has it been running straight since the mid-80s?
It was one of the first mega musicals, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, for absolutely good reason. It's an absolute spectacle. Hearing that like iconic overture, the like the organ,
yeah,
as like seeing the chandelier at the start lift with sparks popping and flying all over, as like because the start of it is the auction after the theater, the opera house. Had closed down, and then it flashes back to the opera house in its prime. So the theater, the stage itself kind of goes from disrepair to parts of it almost rebuild itself in real time. And then the show kind of starts. It's like little else I've seen on a theater stage.
Yeah.
yeah, again, there's a reason it's been running for 40 years. It's iconic. So yeah, I listen. If you're going to the West End, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see Phantom. So I don't need to sell people on Phantom of the Opera.
We are breaking new ground here. This undiscovered gem.
Yeah, we're going for the real.
In all seriousness, I know what you mean though, because like I'm not necessarily a musical head, but I work in theater, and I kind of feel like a bit like with famous movies. I kind of know these shows through cultural osmosis, I suppose would be the term. So it was worth like going to see. Like
that's it. I think like that's actually you kind of hit the point of I went to it almost as an afterthought of well, I love musical theater, therefore I should see Phantom just to say I saw Phantom. Because I know Phantom, I know the songs, I know the plot points, I know how Phantom goes.
Yeah,
there's nothing quite like actually seeing it. So if you think you like Phantom and haven't seen it and find yourself in London, it's well worth it.
Yeah, there's a reason people have gone multiple times. Like,
yeah, like, and even I think they do touring productions of it semi-regularly. I can't remember the last time. It's definitely been to Dublin, but I don't know if it's been.
Yeah, a few friends of mine worked on it back in like 2011 in the Board Gosh.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, about 10 years. So if a production of it finds its way back to Dublin, yeah, well worth it.
Awesome. Well, I've got no clever segue. Doctor Who is back today. At the time,
definitely. There's no way you can tell me Doctor Who hasn't done a Phantom episode.
There are lots of classic stories that riff on Phantom as a character, but they are kind of problematic. There's one called Talons of Wen Chiang, which is literally set in a Victorian theatre and has a masked villain. But it is both excellent but it also has lots of like yellow face, if you know that term.
They could not help themselves, could they?
70s was 70s. And then you've got another one called The Caves of Androzani. Same writer, one of the best writers of Doctor Who, which is amazing. It's a regeneration story, and it's got a really creepy villain, but it's also like one of the like saddest and most violent and brutal ones. So I wouldn't start there, is what I'm saying. Like, and I'm sure there's more Phantom riffs, because Doctor Who is like, it's the kind of thing where even now you can just sort of filter an existing thing through Doctor Who. Like the first Ncuti Gatwa episode was basically, I just rewatched it there, Gremlins and It's a Wonderful Life smashed together with Doctor Who. It's a winning formula. You can't really do it with Star Wars, unfortunately. It's a Doctor Who specific thing.
And wait, Cian, have we ever considered it for long time listeners? If you're familiar with our panel, we've done a couple of times. Everything is wrestling. Have we ever considered doing an alternate? Everything is Doctor Who.
It would be incredibly easy, to be honest.
It's the same panel, except instead of like Dara being the main focus, it's you.
Oh yeah. I mean, you don't need to put out a Comic-Con. I'll do it in a pub. I don't care.
We'll find it. We'll find a convention for it.
I'm trying to think of a link to Ghibli now as we speak, but yeah. So basically, at the time this is airing, the new Doctor Who will be out. The first 2 episodes of the new series. It's technically not the first Ncuti Gatwa episode, nor is it the first Russell T Davies in this new incarnation. But I think the companion is Millie Gibson. I'll double check that now. But yeah, it's looking to be very, very exciting, because for one thing, they're dropping 2 episodes at once, which never happens. I think that's to do with some Disney Plus stipulations or something like that. And also, we're getting, by all accounts, 2 really weird ones to start on. The first one being called Space Babies, which is a sci-fi yarn about being, I haven't seen it obviously, but it involves like being terrorized in a space baby orphanage.
I'm sorry, you're telling me this isn't a Mel Brooks movie?
It's my mind immediately went to, in The Simpsons when they do the birds and the Great Escape, but with Maggie and the babies. I think that may be the vibe. I have a feeling because the new companion is was left on the doorstep of a church as a baby, there'll be some tangential thing, be it thematic or not. And then the second one, I apologize for not having the names in front of me, but the second episode then will be the much hyped visit to Abbey Road Studios with the Beatles, featuring Jinx Monsoon playing a mysterious villain. So there's a lot of excitement going into this, even outside of the specifics. Like, I know you don't kind of keep up with Doctor Who, but like, have you heard anything or noticed any excitement or any change in the culture or anything like that?
Oh, I've definitely noticed. Like, I think there's more excitement than I think there had been. As regardless of what Dara says. but I definitely noticed kind of a more of an excitement. I think, with the return of Russell T Davies, with the introduction of Shudigawa, and even as I said with the introduction of Jinx as a, I think that she's supposed to be a recurring villain, isn't she?
I don't know. I think that Jinx Monsoon is a feint. You know what I mean? I think that they're gonna have some villain, be they new or recurring or like something from the Doctor Who's past, pop up. And Jinx Monsoon was the big thing they published online super early, so that when they were actually filming it, no one would like notice, because they do film it in public. They have to do a lot of like I mean, we talked about it on this show. They announce things strategically and super early so that when they're filming, they can get away with it. Like, they announced David Tennant coming back the day they were filming out in London so that no one would like spoil it, But I hope she's recurring, because based on the little clips and things, she seems to be fantastic. I'm not sure, seems to be fantastic in the part. Oh yeah, I mean, they're a well experienced stageman. Like they know how to work creating a camera. So yeah, but yeah, no, it's like I definitely have it. It's definitely like I am interested, but it's like listen, I don't think it's any secret that like us in Ireland kind of gotten shafted with availability. Yeah.
Considering we can't watch on the BBC.
Oh, because, I was at a Doctor Who convention like 2 weeks ago, and they were horrified, like, offended even. Because there's lots of Doctor Who documentaries and stuff like went out to celebrate the 60th that I just didn't see, because if it wasn't caught live, it was gone. I just looked up, by the way, the episodes are called Space Babies. The Space Baby episode is called Space Babies, and the Beatles one is called The Devil's Chord. And Jinx Monsoon is playing a villain called Maestro. And one thing I say, and I think that this may scare people off, is they are from pretty much the Christmas special that just went onwards. They are very much turning Doctor Who into a fantasy show rather than a sci-fi show. I personally am of the opinion, and I've said this before, that Doctor Who has always been a fantasy show, just dressed up very cleverly. But they're leaning hard into it now, ever since, like, in plot logic, ever since Neil Patrick Harris's Toymaker came in. It's like brought in this whole other dimensionally, like, magical type of aliens and creatures. And that's why the Christmas episode had goblins, and now Jinx Monsoon is going to be a villain who can control music. And like all these kind of like whispers of things that are coming out. It seems to be kind of going more down, I suppose, like kind of 80s Labyrinth type route than like a sci-fi shooting Daleks in space, like Star Wars like thing.
Then I because I watched like through from 2005 up to I got a bit into Capaldi before I think I got worn out on it. But like, I wouldn't even classify like that stretch itself overall as like even kind of soft sci-fi. Like I would kind of put it more safely in the realms of science fantasy.
Yeah, I'd go further. I'd call Peter Capaldi's run gothic.
I can't. I couldn't say for certain because I never finished it.
Fair.
I got bored. But like that's it. Yeah, like it'd be more fantastical, even than Star Wars, and that's like Star Wars is not a hard sci-fi property.
Yes.
So like that's like if it's turning away the hard sci-fi fans, that's it. Like it's been that way for 20 years. It's just kind of wearing its colors on its sleeve a bit more. So
yeah, I mean, like I think Doctor Who always hits a period where it's kind of been taking itself seriously for too long, and then someone comes along and like gives it a shake and goes, here, cop yourself on. It goes like too far the other way, like where it goes super silly. Like, I mean, just because we brought it up, that Phantom of the Opera example there, the one with the violence and all that, the Caves of Anjani, that was like part of like a Judge Dredd 80s like decline into like the Doctor pushing people into acid baths and like stories about reality TVs involving torture and like people dying and like higher like body counts than like the examples escape my mind. And they kind of went so far that it was both unpleasant and also very cheap looking. So it was, so then they kind of gave it a shake right at the end of the classic run by going, here, come on. And then they started doing stories about circuses and, you know, defeating Cybermen with jazz and all that kind of stuff. And it's look, as much as I love the 13th Doctor era, it was a bit po-faced.
I think that's probably why like people, and you know, myself included, kind of like just find solace in that ninth, 10th Doctor realm.
Yeah,
because I think both of them kind of hit the balance of that kind of like crest and mountain very well. Of being, I think, like for the most part, time to time being kind of weird, goofy people, but then having the ability to go down to, oh no, I've done some stuff, like before peaking right back up to, well, we're just going to a carnival.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, I think people who haven't actually watched it since it went out seem to have recast in their head that Eccleston was like this John Wick style, very serious business, moody character. And he really wasn't. He danced to like Tainted Love. He got strangled by a floating plastic arm in his first episode. And like, you know, it's like really goofy kind of stuff. Like
while his like short run was defined by the fact that he came out of frankly doing and committing in some atrocities. Whenever I picture Christopher Eccleston, I picture that man with the biggest grin anyone can. That man has such a large mouth and just wide-eyed excitement.
Exactly, yeah, because he's come back. He's done 3 series of like audio plays now, and they're all firmly in the goofy realm. And I'm delighted because I hate that when people like, because Tennant. To be honest, I found Tennant to be like as equally dramatic. It's just it was slightly more sporadic, you know. Like when he got upset, he got really upset. He just bounced back quickly, you know. Like
I mean, geez, his regeneration episode had him. Didn't it like he almost commit a genocide? Am I right on that?
You're thinking of Waters of Mars, I think, where
he almost killed an alien. I definitely remember there was almost a murder in that first episode.
In which episode?
His regeneration. There was a ship over London.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the first episode. Sorry, I thought you meant regeneration. Yeah. No, was that Harriet Jones? Oh, he killed an alien first. Like he offered it mercy, and then it like tried to throw a sword at him, and he knocked it off the ship. Yeah, and then equally Harriet Jones, who was the Prime Minister and his friend, she zapped the ship as it was leaving. So he essentially deposed her, and by using his kind of trickery, which created a power vacuum, which allowed the Master to come in later on and all that, and that never really went examined. But if you go back to it, the writing is cleverer than it looks. There is this sort of like Tennant's Doctor has like an arrogant chip on his shoulder that does come out in the form of consequences. It's just It's
What am
just
I
no
saying?
one really spells it out, so you can easily
What am I-
miss it, you know, like.
Yeah, what am I saying? Tennant's Doctor has an argument with Satan
And wins.
and wins. So, like, yeah, no, Tennant's Doctor gets grim.
Oh my god! But all this said, are you curious at all to check out the new run? It's going to be a short run. It's only 8 episodes now. It's going to be
Okay.
for everyone else Disney Plus.
I definitely am. If I can get my hands on it, I definitely will. I've been more on the fence on if I should jump in. Maybe when it's all out, and you can kind of guide me on if it'd be a good place to jump inside unseen, or if I should catch up on the rest of Capaldi's and watch Jodie Whittaker.
Well, I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's essential. Here's my kind of take on it. You can just start with Ncuti Gatwa's first Christmas episode, not his first appearance with David Tennant, but just his Christmas one. If you just want a clean slate, if you are curious about all the stuff you missed, they kind of reference it in the 3 Tennant specials before he joins up. So you could start there as well, but I wouldn't consider it essential. It's like there's one sequence where, well, obviously for one thing, because Catherine Tate comes back, obviously it like picks up the plot thread from Tennant's era, which is a nice kind of place to pick up. But for another, like the toy maker played by Neil Patrick Harris, he literally has a sequence where he straps them to chairs and puts on a puppet show and goes through how all the companions died in the previous, like Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, like Jodie Whittaker era, and explains like the highlights and lowlights through puppetry. So if you're just dead curious, you can just watch that clip on YouTube, frankly.
I think it understands that there's probably going to be a contingent of people that will come into this without having watched it. So like, okay, let's just put like a little bit of a recap in.
Well, actually, I'm impressed with, because I assumed when the Rusty Davies and the new Doctor came in, they would do what Doctor Who always does, which is kind of wipe the slate clean. Unless you've got a companion staying on, like Rose or Clara or something. Generally, every new era is a clean slate, unless like a character comes back or something like that. But like, without getting too in the weeds, they have stuck their stake in the ground, as in the Tennant ones, and said, no, the Whittaker stuff happened and has affected this character. It's just that's not the focus of what we're doing now. So it's a nice balancing act. All that stuff it is important. It's just not the story they're telling at the moment. But it's not like the character is fundamentally changed, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah. Okay. No, that's it. Like, I am interested. I'll probably wait till it's all said and done, and then just
I either hop on with the Christmas special or David Tennant's first one having come back. Those are two very like nice soft reboot jumping on points. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've talked long enough about a show that we haven't.
Oh,
seen
look,
yet
I could talk about this for years, but I believe there's something we have to argue about now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, let's talk about a TV show we have watched.
Knuckles. I am the warrior.
Now, here point number 1. This isn't a Knuckles TV show.
No, it's a Wade Willoughby or whatever it is show. What's his name? Wiggles?
Wiggles, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's okay. It's the Knuckles TV show. I think it's bad. I think it's so bad. It's because I went into it wanting just a lighthearted romp where I get 6 episodes of Idris Elba pretending to be Knuckles.
Wade Whipple, by the way. Sorry. Please go on.
Yeah. And what I got was Idris Elba recording maybe 20 minutes of dialogue for the whole show. And the story of Wade Whipple going to find his dad in a bowling contest. Could
you like, because now I don't love it necessarily, but I liked it. I've watched it twice now with my daughter. Could you give us like your synopsis of it first of all?
Well, I'll give you this. I didn't actually finish it because I found it insufferable.
Ooh, how far did you get?
Episode 3. It was the middle of the family dinner.
Okay.
I just threw in the towel. I've seen.
Well,
I'll put it this way.
The premise then.
I made it that far, but I did see the rock opera. So I caught that after. But yeah, no, it's literally that. It's Knuckles is trying to fit in after the events of Sonic 2. Yeah, that he's kind of a wander without a purpose. But is having difficulty fitting into suburban lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah. So a ghost of his old mentor, because his entire tribe is wiped out, gives him the purpose of training a protege.
Right.
And the protege that he has found is Deputy Police Officer Wade Whipple.
Yes.
And then the show kind of just becomes the Wade Whipple show. And he tries to fight us out with the bowling thing.
I mean, I did notice this was directed by Jeff Fowler, who I believe directed the 2 films. So it's not like it's a complete cash-in, No.
Well, actually, I don't know. I don't, from what I understand, he directed the first episode. I don't think he directed the whole show.
Right, which has the most Sonic and Tails stuff as well, yeah.
Yeah. I'll give this. That first episode was a lot of fun. Seeing Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic interact with each other. It's what I really like about that second movie, and that's like that works. Ben Schwartz and Idris Elba just have a good chemistry together in that kind of in that straight man funny man scenario, and that's that's a dynamic that kind of really underpins the entirety of like this franchise, this like movie franchise. Is the straight man funny man setup. And for the most part, the first 2 movies, it works because the straight man is James Marsden, and the funny man is Ben Schwartz playing Sonic.
Yes.
And they are both incredibly talented. James Marsden has made a living off of being the bewildered man.
Yeah. Did you realize, not to get too off topic, have you seen Hop?
I haven't seen Hop, but I saw
basically the same movie with the same character.
Oh no, I saw there was a running gag of pictures of James Marsden in the driver's seat with next to CG characters.
Oh, okay.
This is not his first rodeo. But I'll give it they have a good dynamic. They work off each other.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, halfway through the second movie, Knuckles and Sonic have the dynamic, and it works. Now in this, the dynamic is Knuckles the straight man to Wade Whipple's funny man. And I do not think it is controversial to say that Wade Whipple is not as funny as Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, I mean, one thing, I wasn't as down in it as you, but I did feel that, the bowling stuff at the end was great, and the stuff at the start was great, and then it was, padded out. And I do wonder if this was originally meant to be a weekly release, and then they took a look at it and went, no, we're going to drop it at once.
Maybe. I would go so far as to call Wade Whipple buffoonish, insufferable, and exhausting every time he's on screen.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. This series, it really shows the limits of the Sonic franchise, because the weird thing about Jim Carrey is that he is so uniquely big that you could put Wade Whipple or whoever next to him, and their performance would seem relatively understated by contrast. When you remove him and you have those villains from GUN who are kind of going big, you end up with this weird tonal thing where you're not sure if it's like a cartoon or it's a real kind of grounded in a real world type thing. That didn't seem to bother my 5-year-old daughter, by the by. Like I said, she watched it twice. She cheered when the bowling was happening. She totally got on the vibe. So maybe it just, I don't want to say, oh, it's only for kids, because I watch kids stuff. I watch Steven Universe all the time. Kids television can be just as engaging as grown-up television. But this might be one of those cases where the blemishes in it wouldn't bother an adult viewer so much.
Let's not mince words. This is coming from the critique of a 30-year-old man.
I know we raved about Sonic on the movies on this before, without that caveat though.
Yeah, but I am fully aware. I know so many people with kids where their kids are obsessed with those Sonic movies.
Mm.
So to them, here are 6 episodes of something to put them in front of, and they will adore it. And that is perfect for them.
Yeah.
But for me, like I don't want to say that it is the Jim Carrey vacuum, but it needed to be replaced with something else. And I didn't find what they replaced it with to be at all fun or entertaining.
Yeah, I think if this was just like an hour long, maybe an hour and a half.
Maybe, like if it was a Knuckles movie, maybe.
Yeah. No, it doesn't even need to be a movie. Just like, like Star Trek has these short Trek things where they try something and just do 15 minutes of it. And you can kind of let a concept run for that long. And if people really like it, they'll make a full thing of it later. Like, I think a Wade Whipple and Knuckles thing could work. It's just like we were watching episode 5 and my wife Stevie walks into the room and she goes, I've been watching this for 20 minutes. Where's Knuckles?
That's it. That's the biggest thing is like it. I got very excited for this because I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Idris Elba in that second movie was extremely funny because he was the man out of time. 6 hours of that, hell yeah, I'm down. And out of 6 hours, again, truly 20 minutes out of the whole series is like Knuckles focused. And like, yeah, and like I don't know if it's like it might be like budget limitations. Maybe they couldn't afford it just for that for as long as
maybe, but then why do you make it 6 episodes long? No one made you make it that. Like I say the same thing about Picard. If you don't have enough story, why make it that long? Save yourself some money, Yeah,
well, I mean, they're more than making up for their money because I think this is the most popular thing Paramount Plus has out.
Really? I have heard literally nothing about it. I didn't know it was there until I opened the app and saw it there. I heard nothing about this.
This is in streams. And again, children. Because children aren't posting to Twitter about how much they're watching Knuckles.
No, but I'm in parents groups and stuff. I'm not it's not like I exclusively live in Doctor Who forums or anything like that.
It's the same reason Moana is, I think, still the highest viewed movie on Disney Plus.
But that would mostly be my household's fault, yes.
But that's exactly it, right? Like it's people putting it you have people like us that'll watch it once and be like, oh, that's trash, and then throw it out. But I know kids are obsessed with these movies. So I'd say
and not just that, but we were at a certain age. I say this like I don't do this with Doctor Who, but it is perfectly fine to watch the same thing over and over again every day and not get tired of it when you're a certain age, or indeed at any age. And this may have just found its audience,
That's it. That's exactly it. So, and on the greater thing, I think I'm happy. I do want more of this. This isn't me saying this is the death of this franchise. I am very excited about Sonic 3, which I don't know if you guys have talked about. How the hell is Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow? What universe do we live in? We've got Keanu Reeves doing Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I assumed and still assume that this was a joke.
No. Well, again, you could say the same thing when they announced Idris Elba voicing Knuckles.
Well, see, I believe that.
Well, you have to. It's happened.
But I believed it when it came out. But it's such a meme type casting. I'm sure it'll work. But it's just I look at Keanu Reeves and he's a brilliant performer and man and everything like that. But I don't think of you and I want you to be the voice of Naruto. Are you do you book Keanu Reeves to do a voice?
Well, the thing is, this isn't his first rodeo in voice work.
He was in a Superdog movie or something, wasn't he?
Well, no, there's a couple of things. He's doing a couple of small bits. He was in Toy Story 4 as the stunt driver.
Yes, I did hear about that. Yeah,
but he was fully a primary character in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, and didn't everyone hate that apart from Dara?
Well, no, the thing is, they hated the game because it didn't work.
Right, okay.
Now the game works and everybody loves it. And I played it and it's actually great. Keanu Reeves in that game is stellar.
Okay, all right.
Like that's it's now. There's a degree to which he is playing himself because he's also mocap. But like,
that's what I mean, though. Like to go back to Idris Elba, like we know what Idris Elba sounds like, but I would argue that with Knuckles, he put more work into it than he could have. You know what I mean? It's not just an Idris Elba voice. He really created a character. I just wonder, would Keanu Reeves do that for Shadow, or would he just do the Keanu Reeves voice, you know?
I don't know. I think he will, because I think, you know, it's so easy to like flanderize Keanu Reeves into like kind of one installation of Keanu the meme.
Yes.
But, like, you gotta look back like over the past, like, you know, 20, 30 years. The man has range. People don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
But, like, so I definitely think there is room for like us to get an enjoyable Keanu Reeves Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Like, I'm just not as excited as everyone else because I'm just reserving judgment until I see a trailer or something like that.
That's exactly it. No, you're 100% right. I'm that's kind of it's where I'm sitting up. I'm interested. You have my attention.
I'm more interested to see if Jim Carrey comes back, because like I keep hearing he's unretired, he's retired.
I thought I heard he was confirmed for this.
Again, I'll believe it when I see it.
But yeah. But yeah, no, I'm interested because that was a very like bombshell drop, because I think for ages there, the big rumor swirling around that like people were almost convinced was real was Hayden Christensen
as Shadow.
Yeah.
I'd go in for that.
Like, and that's it. Like that would have been like I think a lot of people could have like would have known what to expect for that. But yeah, no, here we are, Keanu.
Yeah. But to circle back to Knuckles, I do get why this doesn't, because like the stretch of Sonic 2 that I noticed Film Brain on YouTube really harped on was possibly for COVID reasons. There's a stretch of Sonic 2 on the island with the wedding. First of all, James Marsden is completely separated from the rest of them. And then like Sonic and Tails get knocked out. And it's purely an adventure of like all the humans trying to get revenge on this groom from the not CIA GUN. And it's like by the time it kind of hits the 10-minute mark, you're like, what am I watching? This movie's like, it's not bad, but this movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes and it's for kids. And I kind of feel like the Knuckles thing is that particular aspect of it taken to the biggest extreme. You know what I mean? Like it's after a while you're like, what are we watching? What have you made?
It's that, like, because I actually kind of adore. I kind of love that about the second Sonic movie, because you can like it's so isolated from the Sonic plot, you can nearly forget about it, but it is still kind of fun and enjoyable in its own.
It is, and you can tell that like because of if Sonic and Tails are together, that would get around COVID filming. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's why I thought Jim Carrey retired, because he had to spend a whole movie with Knuckles, who does not exist. But when he said I'm retiring, I'm like getting big Gandalf in The Hobbit acting next to 8 green stick vibes. So I was like, I mean, did you get that read off Knuckles as a show? Like,
no, but also I wasn't reading too much into it because I was just really struggling to ask the question of, am I enjoying this? I can't remember the last thing I like stopped watching because I just was not having fun.
I will say, Carrie Yules turns up as the dad / bowling champion in the last 2 episodes, and he gives the show a very nice shot of lightning. He is the most British thing I have ever seen, and bear in mind, I'm a Doctor Who fan. His bowling ball is clear, and it has a cup of tea in it. He is wearing a Union Jack vest. Even if you have to fast forward a bit, it's worth just sort of looking at it and going, oh, you're like this on purpose.
Okay. Great, cool. Why is that in a Knuckles TV show?
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this. The thought crept into my head, this isn't very Sonic-y. And then I thought of all the Sonic games I've played. And I'm like, oh, this is totally Sonic-y. I signed up for a Sonic game and I got werewolf. This is very consistent with the history.
First off, actually werehog.
Oh, excuse me.
You're excused. But yeah, maybe I want for more. Maybe I want for Sonic and the Black Knight. Maybe I want for Big the Cat. Who's to say?
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what's in the last scene of Knuckles after we record, but I will say when it happened, I was like, I can't tell if I'm amazed, impressed, or offended. But I just did 6 hours of this. This is how you end. My God.
Okay, we are getting close to the end here.
Oh really? How much time?
Yeah, no, we're about 3 minutes.
Sorry, you didn't get to your Xbox thing.
Well, I'm gonna save the bad. Like there was a pretty awful state of affairs kind of gaming news stuff.
Okay, I'll tell you what. With the 2 minutes,
I can save that. No, what I can do is I can save that for next week.
Yeah, with the 2 minutes we've left, then I want your input on this. If you were to do Knuckles differently, what would you have done?
Hire a better writer.
Well, I mean, obviously, but like
hire somebody who can actually write something clever.
Right.
But like, because I don't think the cast is bad. Necessarily. I think like I don't know the lead actor's name, the Wade Whipple. I don't think he's a bad actor, but what he has given is awful.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of? And this is a film I actually loved when I was a kid. Did you ever see the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie?
Oh yeah.
Where it had Robert De Niro and Jason Alexander, and I'm sorry I can't remember the third actor's name, but like you had these cartoon characters and like Kenan and Kel and all that, and you're like, yeah, it's a cartoon character acting like a cartoon, and then all the human actors are like struggling to find a consistent tone. The villains are really big. The CIA are playing it like dead straight. Kenan and Kel are there, and even as a kid, you're like, you're not all on the same wavelength. That's the vibe I got off Knuckles. As much as I kind of liked it, I was like, some actors are like playing this with the not serious, but the relative seriousness it needs, and some of them are in cuckoo bananas land as far as pitching it to like a very young Nickelodeon audience. Like, you know,
do you know who out of what I watched, who actually hit, I think, the perfect tone for what the show should have been?
Yeah, is
one of the gun agents, Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
I think he has a thing where he is like every time he is on screen, there is like just a little smirk. There's a little smirk,
a slight wink to the camera,
a slight wink, not hammed up, not wacky, but just we're having fun here.
Yeah, I think Carrie Ewells and the guy who played the Hound got that balanced out as well. Just big enough, but not like they're laughing at themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like this. Because again, while I thought the whole sequence with him trying to infiltrate the mansion or the hotel in like the second episode was awful, but the scene where he's having a fight with Kid Cudi and Kid Cudi's mom rings,
yes,
that got a laugh at.
Oh yeah, same. Like the little reference. I know we're cutting up against time. Where I think in the first episode, the bowling alley, like he's got the glove on and he's like, he quotes Sonic 2 and says, "You think I need your power?" And the other agent goes, "Well, yeah, that's what we're here for." He's like, "Come on, I'm doing a thing." Like he almost like broke character, but in the right way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And then the other thing is actually giving Knuckles an arc, because he truly doesn't. Like, and again, I saw the Rock opera. I know he has a backstory in this, but they don't show anything.
And Christopher Lloyd in for one scene was bizarre as well as the mentor owl.
Yeah, no, it's no, like that's it's again, and it could have even been solved with like advertising. If it actually, I'm genuine, because like I went into this with high expectations of a Knuckles show and got a Wade Whipple show.
I don't think Wade was even in the advertising. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I think they made mention of it being like a buddy thing, but like it was not the focus. So even if I'm fully going to steal this joke because I did just watch a video of oh Christ, I literally just watched his video. What's the YouTuber's name? Some Call Me Johnny. That's it.
Right.
Where he basically just put up a thing about Knuckles, and I only watched it a little bit ago. But he's echoing kind of exactly my thoughts of it should have been called Wade Whipple and Knuckles, because the and Knuckles joke will never get old.
All right, so I'm about to go off and watch Knuckles for the third time while you watch videos disregarding it on YouTube, I assume. Is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap?
No. Go to the ABBA live show. That's my plug. Don't watch Knuckles. Go see ABBA. That's my plug for you.
ABBA and Knuckles.
ABBA and Knuckles. What a time to be alive.
Why are they thanking the music? What did it do for you?
Got it. We're done. Somebody get me out of here.
We'll be back next week, probably with Doctor Who stuff, if we're being honest. Thank you very much. I've been Cian.
I've been Kevin, and he's been Knuckles.
And I have been doing the podcasting. I'm yelling at the microphone. It's not talking back. Goodbye.
Alright, so you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland, how do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.